What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, man, we're just catching up. Just got back from Australia. Logan got back from the NSCA conference. It's been a big 2 weeks since we've been together, so we're diving in right now. Boys, how we doing? Man, look at that. Our internet's doing good. This is incredible.
It's not doing
Yeah,
too
this
bad.
is
Yeah.
let's not jinx it. Hopefully, but so far it is good. How you feeling, Paul? You
Oh man, I am jet lagged like a mother trucker right now.
you look much better than anticipated.
Yeah,
be
do
completely
I?
honest.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like I got hit by a truck.
Yeah,
Like
Me
it's
too, buddy.
it's the middle of the night in Australia right now, and so I
Mhm.
feel like I should still be asleep.
Me too.
I had
Very
like
soon.
just got adjusted and then thrown
Yep.
right back into it. The 3 planes on the ride home is not very easy either.
Dude,
Got
I
a
think that's what
15-hour
really
flight,
messed us
and then
up.
a 2.5-hour flight, and then another 2-hour flight. And it's like, oh man. Like my
And we
body
didn't
just hurts
sleep on the
from it all.
15-hour flight at all.
No, even
No
a little
wink.
bit. We slept on the way there, so like when we got to Sydney, we're like excited, like adrenaline's rushing. We had gotten some sleep on that flight over, and on the way back, it was like the exact opposite. Like, kind of not really excited to end it, and then no sleep.
None.
And
You
then they
should've seen
canceled
me
my
and
flight
Paul.
yesterday. I don't think I told you that. I don't think I told you that, Doug. I was supposed to leave at like 8:40 or 9:40 in the morning yesterday from Denver, and I wake up to a message that my flight was weather delayed because it was one of those little regional jets, and I don't think they can climb high enough to get out of the snowstorm that was over there. And so they were like, "We booked you on one tomorrow," and I was like, "That's not gonna work."
No.
So I was scrambling to get a new flight, and luckily
You did
found
get
one.
home, though.
Yeah, I did get home. I had to have Heather come pick me up in Little Rock because I couldn't get back to Springfield where my car was. So I'll have to go get my car at some point this week. But
Dang.
at least I did get home.
Dude,
planes,
yeah,
trains, and
that was
automobiles, baby.
Man,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
all
it
of them.
was
All of
it
them.
was a whirlwind.
Yes, it was, but it was a good time. Man, was it
It was a
good
great
time.
trip.
Well worth it.
Brought an
Well.
Australian back with us.
Yeah, we did.
Old Dave.
Old Dave came back with us. That was pretty dang cool. His first time overseas. He's never left home. And what is he?
Yeah.
He was he's 20, right? 20 years old, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
going to
somewhere around
college
in
for
there.
the first time, getting to see the U.S. We landed. I was like, "Welcome to the shit show, bro."
Yeah. He's wearing shorts when he landed. I was like, man, you might want to change your clothes. And then
be cold.
I didn't tell you guys this either. We get to Josh's van. Josh is going to drive us back to the hotel because we're all staying at the same hotel. We get to Josh's van and it doesn't start.
No.
So we're stuck in the parking lot waiting on the airport service to come get us started.
Oh.
And Dave's out there in his shorts. And he's just like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I'm like, man, you don't look all right.
It was cold too.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was cold
And so,
when we landed.
and it's, winter, full blown winter time in Denver this week. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, a really cool opportunity for him. Like Josh kind of is taking him under his wing this week. And I'm like, man, how many guys get to go to a different country and then hang out with one of the best bull riders in the world for
A week.
5 days before they
Yeah.
get turned loose? I was like, you're going to learn a lot here in just a few days. So I'm excited for him.
Super cool.
Yeah, he's
It
gonna
was super cool.
he's gonna do awesome. I'm so glad that we were able to get him lined out and get him set up down there in Odessa. He's gonna I think he's gonna love it. So
Yeah. And he's got friends there too. So that'll make his
I was
transition
just gonna
really
say,
easy.
there's a
half
lot of Aussies.
half
at
that team
school.
is Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
So
I
it's,
want to
like,
say this
perfect.
past year there was 10 or 12 maybe on the whole Australians on the team. So
That's crazy.
so,
Dude, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
they've got a
say
bunch.
something though. Tom Kelly has got that figured out because
Mm.
well, I didn't have Do Not Disturb on. That was probably loud. Aussies work hard, man. Like they get after it. They have an incredible work ethic. They are, I don't know how to explain it. They're a lot more mature than kids their age are here, if that makes sense. And I think that's just because they get thrown into the real world a lot sooner. But they work hard. They're tough as shit. Like you're not gonna hurt them, and that combination is kind of deadly. Once they get things figured out, they're going to be unstoppable. So he's got it figured out. I'm really stoked for Dave. But even when I went there 2 years ago for their training camp, then you went last year. It was just, they were a great group to work with, man. And so shout out to Odessa. Not much going on but college rodeo out there, but they've got it locked down.
The pipeline, that's it. You get either go college rodeo or go work for the pipeline. Those are your two options.
That is
Those are your two options.
How tell us about the conference. Like, how do other sports do what we do essentially for rodeo? And is it I don't know, is it similar? What'd you find out, or are we just totally off the fucking map and we need to restart?
No, quite the opposite, actually. So Tyler and I both got to go to NSCA's coaching conference in Orlando this past week, and I was only there for the first 2 days, but Tyler got to stay for the whole time. And so it was great to get to spend some time with him. But I think my biggest takeaway from the weekend is I went in with a really open mind. I want to learn. I want to ask questions. I don't want to come in here and try to tell people how it is or what, my experience or what I've seen. I just want to be an open book. And man, I left there with so much confirmation. Not that we're a lot of the exercises that guys are demoing for dynamic warm-ups or for speed and agility or for those things, like Tyler and I just kept looking at each other and laughing because it was stuff that we've already been on to and we've been employing. And so it was just good to know that like we are not only we're not only like blazing a new trail within rodeo, but we're on par with what other professional sports are doing. Especially in the sessions. I can speak to the sessions that I went to, and there were a few new things that I was unaware of, and some of them I think that would be good to employ. But for the most part, it was a lot of stuff that we were already doing. So that was super cool. It was just really good to be around other strength and conditioning coaches outside of you two yahoos. Like I very rarely, or other champion living coaches, I very rarely get to talk to people that have been in strength and conditioning for any length of time, let alone as long as these guys. There were guys that have been a part of the NSCA and they've been working in the field for 20, 30 years. And so just getting to see the progress and the change. And it was really cool to talk to them about, there were some of the guys there that were part of getting football to like athletes in football to start taking training seriously in the 60s and the 70s. In the 60s and the 70s, football players didn't lift because it would make them bulky and slow. Here we are, 2024. Didn't they like
smoke
now.
cigs on the bench back then too?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was very much like football.
and drink beer. Here we are.
Or, I mean rodeo. I was gonna football was very much like rodeo is today. Or
2024. Here we are. Rodeo bull riders don't lift because they're afraid it's going to make them bulky. They smoke cigs and drink beer behind the buck and shoots. So it was so cool because they've gone before us in that aspect, and they've been able to successfully change the culture, and they've done that by getting results. They've done that by making players faster, stronger, more durable. And so hopefully it was a glimpse into what can be for our future in the next 30 years. And it was really cool. They have several special interest groups for working with different populations of athletes. And so I'd really love to start diving in on creating some sort of Western sports special interest group within the NSCA, right? So whether it's rodeo or equestrian stuff. So anyway, it was a lot of confirmation that we are exactly where we should be. And being a part of the NSCA, I think is a key to that. They have a lot to offer. I also think that we also have a lot to offer. Online training for a lot of these guys is pretty new, and it's the only thing I've ever known. And so it's it was just really cool to see the flip side of the coin. And it made me super thankful for what we do, right? Like I've seen the grass on the other side, and like I'm good. Like I want to be able to collaborate, but I don't necessarily think that I want to go open a gym or go work full time for even a professional sport, in the weight room. We're blazing a trail, and it's just anyway, it was just really, really cool. So it was definitely something that I'd love to go to every year. If it works out where I can go, just the networking that happens and being able to meet other strength coaches and being able to look at there was a ton of vendors that were set up all the way from weight equipment to platforms for training. I mean,
Cool.
all kinds of stuff. And so that was beneficial to get to talk to some of the companies and hang out. It was definitely a worthwhile trip for sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. That's really awesome. I'm jumping back. I got to get back to my studying now that we're back. I started out really strong getting back to it because I'm going to retake that CSCS test, but I'm going to get back to it. And I like what you said. You're like, just go do it for a month. Just grind for a month and go take it. Don't drag it out. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and get to it.
Yeah. I feel like for me, the last like month that I studied, I did what I had to do for work. Right. And I mean, my clients were taken care of. I had calls, did communication, but other than that, I was studying, and I'd go to the coffee shop, and I went through a couple different, there's like the movement system, and there's some people out there that offer, like CSCS courses. And I did Matt Casturo's, the movement system one right before, like just to make sure that I was good. And I did the NSCA's practice test and questions. And anyway, it's a grind, man. That is a certification that is unlike any other. So some of it seems unnecessary, but it's definitely it's definitely thorough. So you can say what you want to. It's thorough.
Yep, it is. Hopefully the second time isn't so bad.
Yeah, well, now you know what to expect. You have a little bit of an understanding of the expectations. That's the hardest thing, or at least it was for me when I went and sat for it, is like just the anxiety of like, I have no idea.
I'm a terrible test taker to begin with.
Dude.
Like in general, I don't take tests well. And also, I think it's going to be a lot better because it's not like I just bombed the shit out of it. I missed it by one question on either end on both tests. So I was just off by a little bit. But like you said, there's so much information there, and they dive. You don't know where they're going to go with the test, right? It's all randomized. So they could go heavy on one part, one here, and it could be different. So they went heavy on the super scientific things that I was not totally prepared for. So that's why we ended up where we did, but it'll get better. But I'm excited for the possibility of a special interest group in the NSCA. That would be super cool. I think it probably been a long time coming. There's been articles published in the Strength and Conditioning Journal about rodeo. Not many, but they're starting to pop up. So I think there definitely is some interest there. And then it would tie. Equestrian is obviously not the same thing, but same realm for sure. Definitely focusing on the same muscles. There could be lots of cool studies done, I think, on. I wonder if they even get hurt. Does that even happen in equestrian?
It's got to.
I mean, in eventing and things like that.
Equestrian's like that's a broad spectrum.
It is. There's so many things, right?
You got eventing, different jumping events.
Dude,
and
eventing is crazy.
The like polo's like
they wear
nuts.
Airbags around their bodies. Those long course,
like in the vest things.
Yeah,
is it like
then the long course ones where they're
impact?
running those warm bloods and they're having to go through all these courses and trails, and it's like max effort. And I know horses, if they're not cooled down properly, have heart attacks and stuff because how intense it is. But they're jumping over things in the forest and whatever, over water, and a lot of those horses, will trip and go down, and the riders wear an airbag that deploys if they hit hard, which is like saved a bunch of lives and stuff. So that shit's wild.
Dude, it is crazy. It's what my stepmom does. Shout out. I know she listens to us, but she's big into eventing. They got a bunch of horses, and she started quite a few, and she travels all the time for lessons and it is wild. And she showed me a couple of the people. There's I'm gonna drop the ball on his name, but there's a guy that does essentially what we do, online coaching, but for eventers specifically.
That's cool.
And she showed it wasn't that long after I'd started with Champion Living and was telling her about it. She was like, "Oh, I know a guy that does something similar." And I looked at a lot of his stuff for a while and kind of got some inspiration for my posts on social media based on what he was doing. And I was like, man, that's a definitely an untapped market, and unlike 19-year-old bull riders, eventers have, or at least a lot of them have the money. So
Yeah,
Oh,
I've seen
yeah.
a few pop up like different remote coaching companies for English writing, just in
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
general, like the
Yep.
different English events and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's cool to see all of the horse world or Western sports. I mean,
Progressing.
I don't know if I don't know if we call English riding necessarily Western. There's like different facets of it, but I mean they're still involved with horses and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Equestrian sports for sure.
yeah, equestrian sports
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to watch it all grow.
Yeah, it is, man. It really is. And there's definitely things that each can take from each other. Hmm. So, what else do we got? Oh, yeah, we just got back from Australia. We should probably fill everybody in on that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, that was, I don't know. Like Paul said, me and him looked at each other after the last day, and I was like, I can't even put this into words. What?
I still don't have the words for it. Like I've been kind of
I don't
resting on
either.
it for the last couple days, just trying to think of like what to say, and man, I still don't really even know.
It was unreal, an incredible experience. We got to take Josh Frost with us to do the bull riding with Paul. Jamie Hallett was already over there at home for the holidays, so he came over for the bareback riding. As always, we have him at our schools, and then we had a new bronc riding coach, Scott Johnson, made the NFR 6 times back before we were around, back when
Back
they
when they
bucked.
bucked.
Yeah. So to have two guys there that have gone from Australia to the U.S. and made the NFR and made their dream a reality was really, really cool for these guys to see. So, um, this is not. It was the first time we ever did an OPA with all three events, minus the college training camp that we did, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a lot more. That was a good ease in because we only had about 9 kids per event. There was 34 kids there total this time, 14 bull riders, 9 and 9 on the horse riders. So Josh and Paul were very, very busy, but we were all busy because these guys, man, they didn't stop getting on. It was so cool. We'll get into it here in a second, but like it was, I hadn't seen that in a long time. Guys just using the time that they had there and the money that they invested to really maximize what they got out of the school. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking down on anybody here, but it's just a different culture there. These guys are working at 18, they're working at 16. Like they are still doing manual labor there. They are rarely inside on their phones fucking around. They're outside doing stuff. And so their work ethic is a little bit different than what we're starting to see here in this next generation of guys. And you can't pay guys to get on 5 or 6 head here usually. Like, we're maybe 2 or 3 tops. And that's cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
getting the most out of whatever they want out of it. But these guys they just didn't stop. They were getting on, how can I get better? How can I continue to progress? Looking at film, asking questions. It was awesome. It was like unreal, dude. Like the days went so fast, and they usually do, but this was like, I don't know, extraordinarily fast. It was because you're so immersed in what we were doing all day long, and every single guy is so invested in what we were teaching. It was awesome, man. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know how the OPAs work, I think we've explained it at least on here before, but like we do 2 days of all classroom and fundamentals. Like we don't buck live animals for 2 full days. And those days are a grind for us as coaches because it's a lot of teaching. Like we're pouring
Mm-hmm.
ourselves into these guys. And I talked to Brie after I think it was after, maybe it was the middle of the second day. Brie hosted us. She's kind of runs the rodeo
Yeah.
association there, the
Oberon
Oberon
Rodeo
Association.
Association.
And I was talking to her and she's like, "Man, they're really not asking questions. I'm wondering if they're really getting anything out of it." I said, "Just hold off." I said, they're being quiet and they're taking notes. It's because they're trying to soak everything up and they don't quite trust us yet." I said tomorrow when we start bucking animals, they will come up to us individually and they will start asking questions about all of the things that we've taught over the last 2 days. And then sure enough, day 3 rolls around and I had like 3 or 4 different guys come up to me and you're like, "So about the social media, like what about this?" Or, about the nutrition, what do we do about this? And I was like, okay, yeah, we've got a formula here that we've like almost, got down. And it's almost, it's the same from one to the next where we get this, we do this heavy teaching. The guys are chomping at the bit to get on animals, but they're still soaking up all the information. And then they come at us with with the individual questions and stuff. And man, I think they get so much out of it. It's so cool to see them get stuff out of it. And to echo what you had said with the work ethic, not one time were we waiting on the 2 days that we bucked animals. Not one time were we waiting on anybody to get ready in the chutes. Like,
dude, we barely pulled
every time a bull
riggins.
would come up,
Like, they
it had a
pulled
rope on it.
everything.
Every time
Yeah.
rigging, every time a horse would come up, two guys were jumping on pulling the riggins. And like, sometimes we'd have to tweak it a little bit just because. Yeah, like their education for rodeo over there is not quite up to par with what guys have here. Like, guys here, they grow up in it. They kind of have the fundamentals down by the time they're 19, 20 years old if they've been in it for a while. And over there, it's just a little bit different where they don't quite have the opportunities that guys here do. And so, but they were hungry, and like the work ethic was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I bet we bucked 50 bulls each day. We probably bucked over 100 animals each day. And
no doubt.
Fast.
In
like
one arena, yeah.
It was
like quick.
In one arena. It was super fast.
One load, like one
I'm
way
thankful.
in, like there's no dual
one
load
alley,
there, like
one single alley. Yep. It was
awesome.
It was kind of unreal. We wrapped up at like 3:45 on the first day, and I was like, it's only 3:45.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been here forever.
Days. No, it was awesome, and it was cool. It was cool to see. It was cool to be able to help them in their rodeo culture over there too, because like you said, they're just behind a little bit, and that's because there hasn't been a ton of love poured over there. Like there haven't been a lot of guys going there doing proper schools and helping these guys. So, dude, we're teaching everybody how to run a neck rope. I was teaching some of the contractors about neck ropes, and they're like, well, I remember one of the guys is like, so you tie everything in? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's safe for the guy first. 2, it's safe for your horses. If a horse decides to flip over, we do not want him to flip over. We don't want him to be upside down. And this neck rope is only going to prevent that. And I was like, thirdly, dude, I'm doing it for the 1% of times that we need it, because that's when it matters, right? I said, probably all these horses will be fine, but there's going to be 1 or 2 that try it, and we're going to be really fucking glad we had this on there, because it saves that guy and it saves the horse. He was like, never even thought about it like that, and never even came to mind, because that just hasn't been a thing over there. So we taught all the horse riders how to run neck ropes. Scott was super awesome with that. Took all the bronc riders through a lesson with it. And then, like you were saying, Paul, like we didn't one time have to tell people to put ropes or riggins or saddles on things. They were on there. And the funny thing was, usually we end up having to pull, because guys are they're just not confident in their abilities, even if you show them the right way to do it. Over there, it was like overconfident in their abilities. So sometimes you'd get to the rig and it'd be like sitting off to the left. And you're like, I love it that it's pulled, but we got to redo this real quick, and undo it and straighten it out. But it was just different, man. And it was cool to see, and their appreciation for what we brought to the table. Just, man, it just meant the world to me. Like that's why we do what we do, is to help anybody be a better rodeo athlete, be healthier, be fitter, stronger, and be able to do the thing that they like to do longer. And for them, they're not making a living at it over there. They're not. It's a hobby. And so it was cool to just be able to pour into that.
Even some of the little tactical stuff was, I think, going to really help elevate their game. Like Jamie teaching them the bareback riders how to tape their arm. And like Josh got talked into getting on a bull the last day, and he was like taping up his legs from some previous injuries and stuff. And some of the guys were like, what's he doing? And so he had him video. He said, all right, everybody video this, like, how I tape my legs. And then he helped a couple of the guys that had similar injuries. He helped them tape their legs. And one of them got off a bull and was like, that's the first time I've got on in the last 10 years that like my knee hasn't hurt.
Yeah.
He's like, this is insane. Like, I never knew this. And so like even just like the tiniest little things that we take for granted are going to make a huge impact for them.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I love that this happens every time, but guys leave the school and they go to rodeos, and then they win, and I fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
That's an unexpected consequence of coming to an OPA is you're going to probably, at least one guy's going to go enter the next day and win their money back right away. And sometimes it's multiple guys, but we had, at least before we left, the one that we know of, Charlie was one of the guys in the bull riding, and he had a rodeo the next day, and he won the bull riding there, and that was
so cool.
Freaking stoked for him.
And I chatted with Brendo for a second, and he said the boys did great in the horse riding. He was like, I've never seen any of them ride like that. So pretty dang cool to see them come along. And we talk about this all the time too. It's a lot harder to reverse bad habits than it is to create good ones from the get-go. And as you can imagine, we had to break a lot of bad habits, especially in the horse riding. So it was cool. And that's what I mean by that is, like, what I'm going to say about that is it's very hard to do that unless you drop the ego and get it and just relearn. In the first day, I could see, I was like, this is either going to go great because they're going to be able to drop their ego and just learn, or we're going to be headstrong and we're going to have to fight them for a bit. And there was a couple that we had to be pretty real with and say, like, that's not going to work. That it will not work. You're not going to be able to do that. And dude, some of these guys are in their 30s too. So it's not like they're young kids. They were all so willing to just tell me how to do it the right way. I don't care about how I was doing it. Tell me how to do it correctly. And we saw huge, huge advancements, dude. It was insane. I've got a bunch of the rides that we're going to put together and kind of drop out there and show guys the progressions. Granted, some of these horses were a little tougher to ride, not because they're bucking so hard, because they're running so fast. But we had, it's hard to spur something that's running. So we're teaching guys how to really hold their feet and get a hold of a horse. And Mark went out and start the ride and build based off of what that horse gives you. And I think that's the unique thing about there is you do have to hold every horse in order to even have a chance at having a good score, because you don't know what it's going to do. Here, pretty much everything bucks. So a guy can get lucky every now and then and, not have a strong mark out and still be able to spur one, because they're just a different caliber of horse here. You have to help the horses over there a lot. And so as we got guys holding on to them, starting them better, you start seeing the horses perform better, which is really cool to kind of show them, hey man, this is how you win rodeos here. Like, be in control, help the horse the best you can. If he runs, hopefully you get a reride. I don't know how it works there, but it was just really cool. The advancements that everybody made, and the bull riding was unreal. How good everybody got. Like, I've never seen anything like that in bull riding. Mostly because I think in all the sports, there's a huge mental factor into it. I feel like bull riders go through that more often. I don't know why. I do. Actually, I know why, because I'm scared fucking shitless of them. That's why I'd be scared too. But it's hard to trust the fundamentals and do that. And I think you and Josh did an incredible job at really instilling into them on the drop barrel, no matter what, this is all that happens. You do these 3 things, 4 things, you will be fine. The hardest part about that is separating the danger thought from the, I trust the fundamentals and I'm damn good at them, and if I do those, it's going to go good. It's the same for the horse riding as well. But usually you just see more guys come off in the bull riding, and that's just the way it is. Well, but at the school, it was a lot different.
Yeah, so many teachers or coaches that do bull riding schools, they try to overcomplicate it. And really, like, it comes down to just a couple things. Like, I call it like bull riding is like a lot of 1-2 positions. Like, there's a 1 and there's a 2, and maybe there's a little bit of variables based on the way he moves or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, the fundamentals work. The fundamentals are what rides bulls. And one of my favorite transformations, I guess you could call it, from the week was old Matthew Rolston. And even his journey leading up to this school is amazing, because he lost almost 75 pounds, I think, coming up into this school. He hadn't been on a bull in 10 years. And he's like, I feel like I've left something on the table. Like, there's still more that I haven't accomplished. And so he comes into the school, he's hungry to learn. He's doing everything right on the drop barrel. You can tell he's obviously been working hard at this. And then we go to buck animals, and you can just see the fear in his eyes. And that first one he got on, he just
jumped off,
turned off. Yeah, he just was not. He was nervous. He was so nervous. And so we had a long conversation after that, and then we get him on another one.
He got up shaking his head instantly, and you could just tell that he was like, "That was not. Why did I do that?" Yeah.
Yeah, and it was. I'm glad it happened at the first, pretty early on, because then I had like a teachable moment for everybody after that. But yeah, he gets on his next one, and I never mind. Rewind. We have a long conversation after the first one, and like I said, man, like your body knows what to do. You just don't trust it. And I was like, I get it. Like, that was your first one in 10 years. Like, I would feel the exact same way. And but I said, but you know what to do. You do everything right on the drop barrel. Like, just trust your instincts, trust yourself, and go try. Like, actually try. Put some effort into this. And so he gets on his next one. It's not quite as strong as the first one, and I tell him before he gets on, I'm like, man, like, don't rush your get off, because you're gonna ride this one, and you're gonna you need to make a good clean get off. Sure enough, he rides it and he gets off on his feet. And after that, I showed him a screenshot from the middle of that ride, and I said, look what happened in the middle of this ride. And he's doing, like, he's replicating what he did on the drop rail on the back of the bull. And I said, your body knows exactly what to do, because you've drilled this so many times. We've tweaked a couple things on the drop rail, but like, you know what to do. And after that, he put out 110% effort on every single one. He didn't make 8 seconds or get off on his feet on every single one after that. But like, you could see this wild transformation for like not even trying on the first one to, hanging off the side, not even hanging off the side, but making adjustments and getting back to the middle. And it was like, dude, like, that's insane. Like, we went
on like 9 bulls a day.
Yeah, you went from 70 pounds overweight a couple months ago, and now like you're doing the right things on the back of a bull. Like, it just fired me up.
It was
Absolutely
so cool.
Fired me up.
And he got off and he came up to me and he's like, well, like I said, he's been on 9 bulls a day. And by the last day, I'm like, dude,
yeah, he was hungry.
Are you just sore as shit or what? And like, he had a couple of get offs that were not, he came off hard a couple times where I would even be like, fuck, like, that did not feel good. The guy just kept getting up and wanting more. And he's like, I rode for 10 years or 10 years before this, and I've never felt so good. He goes, yeah, I'm sore, but it's just riding sore. I'm not like really hurt or anything. Like, I feel really, really good. And he listens to the podcast. That's how he did everything, was through the app and podcast, which is so cool. And then got signed on with Logan. But he works hard at it. And so and I think he kind of started that. It was cool to have older guys there, because they could relate to the younger guys, and the younger guys were looking up to them because they see them everywhere. Like Ty and the bareback riding. Ty is awesome guy there. All these young kids look up to him, and he was always there with them. It was like big brother all the time with them. And so like, with these older guys, they know that they need to stretch after. So like, they're doing extra mobility. They're starting the day with mobility. As the week went on, you'd see all these younger guys jumping in with them and like doing the things with them and noticing the differences. So it was cool to see them be able to help see the change that needs to happen in that culture and jump on board and be there for the guys. It was just so rewarding and so cool to see. And then Matt told me after, we had like a little get together after the last day and had a hangout, played some fun games.
Yeah, we did.
But Matt was like he was asking or telling me that, you didn't just help one person, talking about himself. He goes, I've taken what I've learned, and my family starts asking about it. They've seen the changes in me. He said, I probably helped giving advice from what I've done and experienced to 20 people. He's like, you just helped 20 people through one. I'm like, that right there is that's where it's at. Like, that is why we do what we do, is to help as many people as we can. And if we're giving good information out there and people are getting results from it, it's simple to pass it on, because the shit works, So yeah, it just gives
Even
me,
at
I got
the school,
goosebumps right now just talking about it. It's super cool.
I mean, after that first day we bucked animals, like, I mean, I had some like other guys come up to me and be like, man, Matt is inspiring the shit out of me. And we were kind of standing in a circle. There's maybe a half dozen of us, and Matt's like explaining the app and stuff, and everybody like kind of whips out their phone and starts like, what was it called again? And downloads it right away. And they're like, did you pay this guy to be here and just promote this app? And I'm like, no, we didn't. And but they all downloaded it right away, and they were getting after it. So it was just cool.
Yeah.
Cool to watch. And even the stock contractors and stuff, guys that we had never met before,
Dude, that
had no
was
connection
so
with.
cool.
They're like, they're fans of the podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
like they said like like I feel like I know you guys just through the podcast, and um, it it's leaving the impact that we had hoped for,
Mm.
but I didn't like I don't if you guys are like me, like I didn't know if it would, but it is. And so it's
Yeah.
again like Logan was saying about NSCA, like having a really affirming weekend, like we had a really affirming week as well.
Big time. And dude, shout out to those stock contractors. All the personnel that helped us was so great. Like, I didn't know going over there. It's one of my worries. Like that's one of the biggest things we do is when we hire all the contractors, all of our pickup men, we know where they've been. We know they're the best, and that is a big part about controlling the uncontrollable. And the contractors were outstanding. They were more than helpful, like asking us what caliber of animals we needed for each guy, running them up quick for us, like, and making sure that everybody was taken care of. The pickup men were outstanding, dude, and handy, like really, really handy. Those two guys did great. There was a couple, it's going to happen. There was a couple of wrecks, and they had horses roped quick. We had it under control fast, and avoided some major injuries because of it. So big shout out to them, and the bullfighters were outstanding, man, jumping in front of everything. And the attitude of everyone is just so positive the entire time. Like, you want to keep bucking, we'll keep going. It doesn't matter. That's why you're here. We'll load them till we can't. Dude, they bucked some bulls like 5 or 6 times a day. Like, they didn't care. They were there for the athletes and the cowboys, and it was so cool. And the best part about it was talking with all those guys after, and they're like, we needed this. Like, the culture here needed this, and thank you guys for being here. Like, I had a couple of messages from contractors saying, I've brought a lot of bulls to a lot of different schools, and there was nothing I've ever seen like that. So, back to the affirming week, it was a beyond affirming week for us. And man, I just hope we're lucky enough to go back, because I feel like all of those people are family now, and they're such a good crowd, such a good community. And like Oberon Rodeo Association, big shout out to Brie and Jack. Yeah, everybody there, man. I cannot express how awesome it was, and how much we appreciated going and be able to help. It's just incredible. Incredible.
Everything from the hospitality was like second to none. They took care of us every step of the way.
I thought we ate good at some of our schools before, and I was so fucking wrong.
This this one set the standard.
Oh man, yeah, just everybody was so great. Yeah, everybody helping was just they're for it, man. The coolest part, city council sponsored everything. The mayor came the last day just to see what we were doing, and the coolest thing, I'm talking with him, and he's like, pulls Brie over to chat with us, and he goes, I don't think any of us really realized what we were sponsoring here. He's like, this is unreal. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And literally they believed in Brie and her ability to put on a production, because she's done it so many times with so many other events in the town. So to see them, they just trust her ability, and then to see what she brought to the table, I think they were just even more blown away. So big shout out to Oberon City Council as well for letting us come over there, and believing in the sport of rodeo. It's so cool. It's a dying thing here. Same there. They're trying to keep bringing it up, and they need more towns and people to get behind them so they can keep doing that. But super cool. Guys, it's cold here. You should see my outside. Just the wind. Can you hear the wind howling in my microphone? It's so loud.
No, I can't. But I'm wearing mittens, so I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, it's not
kind
very
of
warm
mittens?
here. It's supposed to get.
Huh?
Let's see these mittens. Oh, you got camo. I can't even see you. All I see is fingertips. Where's your hands?
Yeah, exactly. The convertibles. I got the convertibles.
I do too. I love those things. I love them. I love them. Oh, guys.
That was a rude awakening landing in Denver yesterday after being in summertime for a week, and then coming back to the harsh realities of winter in North America. Yeah. The coldest time of the year, middle of January to the middle of February, is brutal.
Let me see how cold it is here right now.
Yeah,
it's 7 below.
I'm sure it's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not even. I was gonna tell you guys how cold it is here, but I'm just gonna keep that to myself now.
Not even. Yeah,
Not even close.
I'm probably being a baby right now. I said it's cold, but it's not that cold.
Dude, I got to go get firewood and shit today. I'm going to be all bundled up, freezing my nuts off. It's going to be rough. But I am going back to the gym today. I cannot wait. I haven't worked out in a week, something like that. So I am excited to get moving again, and my body is going to be really excited for that too. You guys got anything else to wrap this up? Any other announcements, fun things? No, me either.
I guess announcements wise, like just if you're interested in OPA, like be on the lookout. We definitely will have more this year. It's now 2024.
Yeah, it is.
So here we are in January 2024. We will have hopefully a few different options for Optimal Performance Academies, and just be on the lookout for those. And
I would say,
like if you're on the fence,
yes.
We've had it every single school. Somebody walks away and makes their money back right away,
right then.
Like it is a true investment. It is not an expense. Like, you are investing in yourselves. If you're entering rodeos and you're not winning any money, think of whatever the entry fees that it takes. Like, if it's 3 rodeos that equals the Optimal Performance Academy, or it's 4 rodeos, like whatever, stay home from 4 rodeos so that you have the money to make this investment. Like, whatever you have to do, maybe find a sponsor, like whatever you have to do to get here, like please get here, because it will change your life.
It will, absolutely. And dude, that's such a good point. I love that you said that, because we see this all the time in rodeo. Guys just want to go. And the fact of the matter is, they're not ready to go. They need to sharpen their skills all around. And every time they enter rodeo, that is an expense. You're not going to win. If it's not going well, pay attention to the historical trends, right? Like, if you've entered 10 rodeos and haven't won a dime, we need to adjust some shit. And usually it's not just because you're drawing bad at 10 rodeos. Eventually, if you're at a point where you can win money in professional rodeo or even amateur rodeo, like, you need to pull back. You need to check yourself and do a little reality check and say, okay, how can I take this money that I'm just pissing away on entry fees and invest it so these entry fees start turning into winning money? And OPA is number one. There's no other school you can go to and learn the professional skills and the sport-specific skills the way that we teach them. So I know you touched about on this again, but I'm just going to wrap it up with this. Working out, how to eat correctly, how to maintain your money and run a budget, how to manage your social media, how to enter PRCA rodeos specifically, like walk you through step by step what to look for. And so you can start entering the correct rodeos so you can start having the best results for whatever skill level you're at. And then on top of that, there is nowhere else you can come and get the skill-specific stuff we do with the duration of time. It's 4 days long. We can reverse bad habits in that time. It's awesome. We've seen it over and over again. So investing, dude, if I told you that you had to, if you paid $3,000 in an investment in yourself and made it, an asset, if you don't win $3,000 more that year, that's the problem. There's no way you're not going to. You're going to return that investment. There's nothing else you can do out there for yourself as a rodeo athlete that returns this quickly, especially rough suck athletes. Like, we've seen it over and over. If you trust the process and do the things that you learn in this school, you will take off. First school we ever had, just over a year ago. 2, 3, 4 guys made the circuit finals this year that never would have had a chance at it the year before. But over the year, they consistently practiced all the things that we taught them. They reached out to other coaches to help them, like those boys from CSI that work with Kelly Wardell. Dude, being able to take what they learned from us and then go implement it with Kelly, no wonder they are where they are, but it took their time and a little bit of money to put back into themselves to get what they wanted out of it. And I really, 2 of those guys, I'd be surprised if they aren't the NFR in the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important to note too, like you're talking about pro rodeos and entering pro rodeos. I actually had a conversation this weekend with somebody that was like, that doesn't really appeal to me because I'm already entering pro rodeos. I know how to enter. It's not how do you technically, he will show you technically how to use the app. It's the strategy behind entering. How can you enter to make money? not just enter Denver and Colorado versus the world when you have no business being there, knowing you're gonna spend $1,500 and go win no money. Where can you focus your time and your attention on so that you can make the most out of that investment and actually win money? So that's it's key. When you hear how to enter rodeos, it's not just how does the app work, it's the strategy behind winning.
From guys that have done it, from guys that have pulled themselves out of the mud, had to learn the things the hard way, and then like the lessons that they learned and what they would do if they had to do it over again. You know, Caleb usually gives that talk. Josh did a great job of filling in for that this last time. We kind of like we were gonna skip it, honestly. Like we were going to like, well, you know, we don't really appealing to. We didn't know if these guys were ready to enter PRCA rodeos. And then at the end of one of the sessions, somebody raised their hand and was like, you know, what about entering? And we're like, okay, here we go. So we went on this full hour long off the cuff
hour and a half
session.
It was long.
Yeah, where Josh filled in and he explained, you know, how to enter and the strategy behind entering, because I don't think there's not a better example that I know of than Josh Frost for that, because he learned a little bit by having an older brother to look up to, but like bull riding didn't come easy for Josh, and so he had to work his ass off to get where he is. And so like each year he's grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, and he had to learn a lot of that the hard way. And so he was able to show these guys, you know, the exact step-by-step process that he took to come from a what would have been another, you know, probably early career ending story where, you know, he tried for 2 years and couldn't make it, and so just said piss on this. But with a different attitude, he was able to grow himself out of that, and now he's literally one of the best bull riders in the world. And it was all because of work ethic, strategy, and, you know, not taking no for an answer.
We need to have him back on here, because we didn't even talk about his story last time. Like, it's so I
told him that yesterday at breakfast. Yep. Yeah. There was so much that he disclosed to us, like you and I, you know, just in private after, you know, before sessions, after sessions, stuff like that I had no idea. And so like that made me respect his journey even more than I already did.
Yeah.
And I told him yesterday at breakfast before I left, I was like, we need to have you on again really soon, because you've got a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible story. And man, a lot of guys look at people at that caliber right now where they are and just think that they were just naturally gifted and they made it. Or, you know, his last name's Frost, he's got to be a good bull rider. Yeah, you know, that's, people just don't know. So I think that, getting him on here again and I think it'll help someone believe in themselves. You know, you don't have to be good from the get-go, but hard work pays off and consistency pays off. And also, that guy is the best at investing in himself. If he finds a service that he knows will help him, he will invest in it because he knows it's going to pay him back at least twofold, probably tenfold. You know, so I would love to get him on here and do that again. I got to give a huge shout out to Beastmaster Rodeo Gear. Nick, the crew, donated a bunch of gear for these guys in Australia to help them improve their equipment. They had pretty good equipment when we got there, but things like spur straps, boot ties, bindings for saddles, they sent all the little things, rowels, like things that we didn't really think about. We used every single one of them with the guys, and it really, really helped. And to see them getting their hands on new gear too, and not having to pay $1 million to get it over across the pond to do it was, dude, they were so appreciative. So everybody at Beastmaster, thank you guys so much for sponsoring our OPA, for being partners with us on this podcast. Man, you guys are incredible. Like we've always said, the best in professional rodeo gear, or, you know, rodeo gear for anybody, all calibers. Every event, they've got it. They are constantly, and they're redoing how we do gear. They're going to the athletes and asking them, how can we make this better? And so seeing all the things that they're designing and bringing out is so badass. Guys, use our discount code Champion Living, all one word, caps locked on. Going to save you 10% on all Beastmaster at beastmasterradio.com. And also got to thank Hui. We're always rocking Hui gears. You can see all of our lids. They make the OPA shirts. Thank you guys so much for everything. Guys, you can check out Hui, getyourhui.com. Use our discount code Champion Living, all one word. It is not case sensitive. It's going to save you 10% on all of their gear. And until next time, we'll catch you later.